Hey, Bart, what have you been doing?
Hey, I've been busy. I'm flying all over everywhere.
Oh, I see.
Hey, did I ever tell you that I'm related to the bald eagle?
Say, you did tell me that once. You know, buzzards are related to the bald eagle, and the bald eagle is the great symbol of our nation.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Well, you ought to be very proud of that. Say, do you have any riddles for us today?
Hey, I got some bird riddles for us.
Oh, some bird riddles. Okay, give us a bird riddle.
Where do tough chickens come from?
Where do tough chickens come from? I give up.
From hard-boiled eggs.
Oh, hard-boiled eggs, that's good. All right, give me another one.
Why do hummingbirds hum?
Why do hummingbirds hum? Well, I don't know.
'Cause they don't know the words.
Oh, they don't know the words. Okay. Well, tell me, when you've been flying around, what have you been seeing?
Well, I see some people doing good things and some people doing bad things.
Oh, yes.
And I'll bet that God doesn't like people who do bad things.
Well, that's not entirely true, because God is always hoping that people who do bad things will start doing good things. And he loves them and wants them to be part of his family.
They do?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, because there's a story in the Old Testament that tells us about that.
Wow, tell me the story.
Okay, all right. Well, it has to do with the city of Nineveh. Well, in the city of Nineveh, there were people who did a lot of bad things.
Really?
That's right, a lot of bad things. But God sent his servant, Jonah, to Nineveh to tell them if they would tell God they were sorry, that God would forgive them and that they could be part of God's family.
Wow, what happened then?
Well, Jonah, he didn't like the people of Nineveh. And so he decided to run away.
Hey, I think I know this story.
Okay, tell us the part of it.
Yeah, well, let's see. Then he got on a ship and he tried to sail away and they had a big storm and then the ship was starting to sink.
That's right, the ship was starting to sink. The sailors found out that Jonah was the cause of the great storm, and Jonah told them that the only way that they could save their ship was to throw him into the sea.
Wow, he did that.
Yeah, that's right, he told them that. So they threw Jonah into the sea.
Wow, and I guess that's the end of the story, is it?
No, that's not quite the end of the story, because God still loved Jonah, and he sent a great fish to come and swallow him up.
Really?
That's right. And so for 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah was in the fish, and he was safe, but he was in there, he couldn't get out. And so while he was in there, he told God he was sorry for what he had done.
He did, yeah.
So then, at the end of 3 days, the great fish burped Jonah up onto the shore.
Hey, you're not supposed to burp. And if you're burping, you're supposed to say you're sorry.
Well, that's right, yeah. So that's polite. But he was up on the shore.
Well, what did he do then?
Well, then he went to Nineveh, and he told the people there the message that God had sent him to bring. That if they would say they were sorry, that God loved them and wanted to give them life and make them part of his family.
Wow, and what did they do?
And they believed it, and they did it, and they became part of God's family.
Wow, that's a great story.
Well, it is. But there's more to it than that, because this story of Jonah is a model or an example of what Jesus Christ did.
Really?
Well, it says this in the Bible. Jesus said in the Bible, he said, Jonah was in the great fish for 3 days and 3 nights. In the same way, I will be in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights. That's what he said.
Wow, What does that mean?
Well, that means that Jonah is a sign that Jesus, when he died on the cross for our sins and the sins of everybody who would believe, when he died on the cross, that he would be in the grave for 3 days, and then God would raise him up again, so that he's alive even today.
Wow, so we could know him?
That's right. So Jesus is alive today, and we can pray to him, and he can live in our hearts.
Wow.
Well, also, the story of Jonah is about how God sent someone with a message to bring life to people who were bad. And Jesus came to do the same thing.
Wow, he did that?
That's right. Jesus came to bring life to those people who were bad. In fact, the Bible says, in him was life, and the life was the light of people.
Wow, that's in the Bible?
That's right, it's in the Bible. Say, I've got a illustration and a song that's all about telling people about Jesus and about Jonah. Would you like to see them?
Yeah, I would.
Well, let's listen to the song first, and then I'll show you the illustration, and it will help us to understand about Jonah.
Yeah.
You sit over here and you watch while we listen to the song and then do the illustration.
Okay.
Stop and let me tell you what the Lord has done for me. Stop and let me tell you what the Lord has done for me. He forgave my sin and he saved my soul. He cleansed my heart and he made me whole. Stop and let me tell you what the Lord has done for me. Go and tell the story of the Christ of Calvary. Go and tell the story of the Christ of Calvary. He'll forgive their sins, he will save their souls. He'll cleanse their hearts, he will make them whole. Go and tell the story of the Christ of Calvary. Go and tell the story of the Christ of Calvary.
Now, this is the illustration about Jonah. Now, there were lots of people who said yes to God. Now, there was Moses who said yes to God, and there was Elijah who said yes to God, and there was Jeremiah who said yes to God, and there was Isaiah who said yes to God. But when Jonah came along, he said no to God. He said, no, I'm not going to do what you wanted me to do. So we'll take the Jonah card and turn it around just like that. Now, of course, Jonah tried to escape from God. And of course, we can't escape from God because God knows where we are all the time. But he tried to escape from God, so he went and he got on a ship. Here we are with our ship, and we'll put Jonah over here. There he is. He got on the ship, and he thought that he could escape from God. And, but remember, lots of other people said yes to God. And here's our other prophets who all said yes to God, but Jonah, he said no. So he got on the ship, and there was a great storm that came up. The storm was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And in that storm, they thought they were going to sink. And the sailors found out that Jonah was the cause of this great storm. And Jonah said, the only way you can save me or save the ship is by throwing me into the water. And so, at last, the sailors did the only thing they could do, and they threw Jonah into the water. And then nobody knew where Jonah was. So you see, we don't know where Jonah is now. We're not sure where he went. He got thrown out of the ship, and there he is. We don't know where he is. But God knew where he was, because God sent a great fish to swallow Jonah. Here's the great fish. And the great fish swallowed him, and for 3 days he was in the great fish. He was safe, but he couldn't get out. But he was there, and while he was there, he was sorry for what he had done. And he told God he was sorry and that he would try to do what God wanted him to do. So while he was in the fish, though, he was thinking about all of that, and wait a minute. There he is, right there. He's starting to come out. And the fish came up to the shore, and it burped him out, and Jonah was on the shore. And then Jonah decided that he was going to do what God wanted him to do. And so Jonah, instead of saying no to God, Jonah now said yes to God. Yes, I'm going to go to Nineveh, and I'm going to do what you wanted me to do. And so he went there, and he told the people that if they were sorry for their sins and they trusted in God, he would make them part of his family, and he would forgive them. And they did believe. And they did it all because Jonah said yes to God. And that's our illustration for today.
Hey, that was a great story and a great song.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? And remember that the story of Jonah, which is a true story, points us to Jesus Christ. That just as Jonah was in a great fish for 3 days, so it is that Jesus would be in the grave for 3 days before God raised him to life.
Wow, that's a story.
And also that Jonah went with a message of love and hope, and that if people would tell God they were sorry, and that God would forgive them and make them part of his family. And Jesus had the same message.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, and even now, if there's any boys and girls who are listening to this story, and if they tell God they're sorry for what they've done that's wrong, and they trust that Jesus died on the cross and rose again for them, then God will make them part of his family forever and ever.
Hey, that's really good news.
It is really good news. So remember that Jonah always points us to Jesus Christ. Hey, do you have any other riddles for me?
Hey, yeah, I got one more riddle.
Okay.
What bird can lift the highest weight?
What bird can lift the highest weight? The greatest weight. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, all right, I give up.
It's a crane.
A crane, of course. The crane lifts the highest weight. That's good. Say, if any of you who are listening have anything you'd like Bart or Sonny or our other friends to talk about, you let us know. Send us a letter at 619 School Drive, Wadsworth, Ohio, and we'll get it here. Or you can send an email to us at the email that's listed under the screen here, and we'll get it, and we'll do our best to talk about it.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye-bye, everybody. See you later.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.